Hi guys, welcome to nerdygirltv. I'm Sam and we'd like to welcome you back to part 2 of our painting video of the Eldar Avengers. Just to remind you, we are painting an Eldar Avenger to look like Hawkeye from the Marvel Avengers. So what I'm doing to save time is I'm split screening 3 shades. Once you've done the base paints, you need to put a shade on. It just highlights the, recesses of the model. In the top left, I'm using a right clan flesh shade on the flesh tone colours. In the top right, we're using the Nuln Oil on all the silver and metal parts of the model. And in the bottom right, we're using the Druchii Violet to cover the purple and the blue. When putting a wash on, it's just important to make sure that you cover the whole of the painted area. It doesn't need to be too heavy because otherwise it will just seep and glob and it doesn't make the model look any nicer. If that does happen, just get a clean brush and dab it off. Okay, we're going to look at the source picture again. So this is Hawkeye, like I said. And the next thing we're going to do, obviously once the wash is completely dry, we're going to start on our first layers. And again, I'm split screening it just to save on time. In the top left hand corner, I'm using the Macragge Blue, which is a base paint, and the medium. Basically, I'm going to make it a bit smoother and a bit, well, for want of a better word, runnier, so I can use it as a layer paint instead of a base paint. In the top right is Iron Breaker, which is a lighter shade of silver, just to bring out the highlights on the guns, the weaponry and things. The bottom left is Cadian Flesh Tone. It's just a lighter version, bringing it more back up to that peachy colour for the skin. And then in the bottom right is the Xerxes Purple, which I'm putting over all the purple areas of the model. The Macragge Blue, I forgot to mention, is going over all the blue areas of the model just to bring them back up. So when you're using the layer paints, you don't go over the whole model again. You're just highlighting, picking out those small bits of the model that you want to kind of pop out. But after the wash has darkened those recesses, you just put a little bit of the layer paint from there. To apply the paint, I'm using a detail brush. As I said before, the detail brush is a slightly smaller bristles, so it allows for, as it says, a bit more detail in your painting. There are available some smaller brushes, some of which I will be showing you later on in the video. It is important when using your layer paints to just be really careful. Don't put too much on the paintbrush, again, not to overcharge it. And just take small brush strokes. That's the way I do it, and just look carefully and just take your time. It's one of those things, I've done it before where I've made a mistake and I've spent forever trying to fix it. So just little brush strokes, and yeah. Before we go on to the next part in the painting video, we're going to look back at the source image again, because there is a lot of detail. Well, I say a lot, there's little bits of detail on the model that we need to paint on. So we're going to start with using the Xerxes Purple to put those little bits of detail, those little purple stripes of detail that you see on that chest plate, and we're going to put those onto the model. I'm using a detail brush to do this, again not overcharging the paint on the paintbrush, and I found this bit quite challenging to do because obviously you need to have those straight lines. And then I've done the same thing again on the legs. I've done the purple for the waist belt, and I'm now doing the purple on the back bit. Okay, now I'm going to use a lighter shade of purple called Gene Stealer Purple, and I'm using a detail brush again. If we look at the helmet, it does, or the cowl if you will, it has got a H on it, so very carefully I'm going to put the H onto the model. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm using what's known as a dry brush. It's a medium dry brush, and I've just charged up the brush and I'm using trying to get rid of as much of the paint as possible, so it just needs a very fine residue, and I'm just literally brushing over the model and highlighting the recesses. Okay, using the Artificer layer brush, I'm going to use the White Sky. Now the Artificer is one of the smallest paintbrushes that are available from Games Workshop, and you can do a lot more detail. As you can see, I've just put the eyes onto the head of the model. And as I said, now we're going to glue everything together. Now because I have painted all the pieces separately, plastic glue is just not going to do it here. So I'm using the super glue, because that way it will definitely bond together and stick. Always make sure that, one, you don't get any on your fingers, but you hold each piece as it's being glued together. Okay, so now I'm jumping from the legs, which we've glued together. I'm now sticking the small piece onto the back. Again, a little bit of super glue and just making sure it holds in place, and then I'm letting it set. Okay, so now we're looking at the head. You just have to be really careful when using your clippers. Make sure you get a nice smooth edge. Okay, now I'm going to take the torso and stick it to the legs. Now this was the trickiest bit, is making sure you get the torso in the right position, what you're looking for with the model. Okay, what I'm doing now is putting a bit of super glue on the bottoms of the feet, and I'm going to stick it to the base. What I have done with the base is I've painted a dark grey on the base just to help when it comes to doing the basing element of the model, and I'll come to that later on. I'm now sticking on the arms. As you can see, what I'm trying to do, I always position the arms before I actually glue them, just so I have a rough idea of where I want them to go. And I'm doing the same with the second arm, just a small blob of super glue so you can position the arms where you want them, and there you go. All done. And finally we're going to sort the base out. Now I did start by painting a dark grey onto the base before I stuck the model on. But what I'm using is the rocks from the GW basing materials available. I'm using super glue for this bit, and I am using a paintbrush to brush it on, but try and use a paintbrush that you're not going to use again, because the glue can ruin the bristles basically. And then I'm just putting the model in the basing material that I'm using, and then just slowly brushing it off and finishing the edges, and there you have it. That is one finished Hawkeye, looking like he's just come out of a Battle of New York and he's walking through the rubble. And then we're just going to compare it to the source image that we've been working with from the very beginning. But that's about it. Thank you very much, guys. Please give your feedback. I'm Sam from nerdygirltv. Later days.